I'm trying to browse through who is around. Quite a number. I, okay, all right. 70 participants. Okay, all right, okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, and all the participants from different time of the world. Thank you for sustaining your energy. I see there's a series of lectures that are scheduled to be held today. Okay, all right. Basically, my sharing is more of like trying to highlight the importance of looking at issue of sustainable development, which I think no one can say that they didn't hear anything about sustainable development, yeah, or sustainable development goals, because that's the buzzword now. Everyone is talking about it, yeah. And social responsibility is one of the means for that, okay. So, which I believe it is one of the mean. And before this, issue of environmental conservation, etc., is usually being addressed through the channel of social responsibility, right? So that's why I guess the rationale behind why having sustainable development and social responsibility. But personally, yeah, I would not touch so much about social responsibility, because the addressing issue of sustainable development is about social, is about responsibility. So it is an embedded thing. Yeah. All right. I'm sure everyone are fully aware of what is happening in LA. All right, and is quite awakening, and is also reflecting something a bit different from whatever happened before. Right, and it's nothing then reminding us that we are at the peak already. Yeah, many people have said that we're already at the peak before, but not many triggered that we are a very serious threat of climate change. Yeah, and to some people, some other group of people, we would see that they are aware of the threat, but always there is whole group of people that is not fully aware in terms of fully acting on it. Yeah, until your house is burnt down, until your crops, yeah, agricultural crops is affected, until your place is affected by flash flood, then only we take serious about what is climate change and what needs to be done. Yeah, but as Muslim, that's not the attitude. That's not the style. That shouldn't be the way we behave. Yeah, it's not about waiting until the end only that we are looking at what needs to be done. Yeah, and we know very well that we are not living for this life, we are living for the other life. So we are talking about the whole preparations. Okay, all right. So I hope that has triggered to you that issue of sustainable development is not issue that we can play around. Yeah, but what has always been missing is that what change there is needed in order to address this issue of sustainable development. If we just hear it from someone and then no single behavioral change happen, then it's as good as not hearing it. Yeah, because sustainability is about actions. No actions mean the same as not listening to it. Okay, all right. What will I be sharing in the next 30 minutes? Yeah, I will be trying to highlight more in a different way for you to see. For those who have not seen yet, I'm sure many of you, or if not everyone, have seen what are the example, what is the issue of sustainable development apart from the LA fire. Yeah. So and see how relevant and how real they are. Okay. The first round is, the first group is first component is to see what is sustainable development, what is sustainable development goal. Yeah. As you can see on the screen, the opposite of sustainable development is unsustainable development, and that's how the world has been progressing. Yeah, the word progress, but progressing unsustainably. All right, and how is that manifested? It's voiceless growth, ruthless growth, if you not put in a bit crude way. Yeah, futureless growth. Yeah, we realize that the way that we live now, the lifestyle that we have now, according to one American survey, that we need another 4 planets for us to live in. in 2050 if we continue to live in this way. All right. But unfortunately, whatever we say, people still living in their lifestyle. Right. And we know one of the reasons that is attributed for why fires in LA is very bad is that there's no water supply is one, but the lifestyle that they have there, right, is so luxury, not thinking about the future generations. Okay, so that is one of the reasons why it become that bad. All right, to put it in a bit more structured way, the development that we have is economic development, social development, yeah, ecological development or ecological preservation in that manner, and cultural development. And we see that inside this, what is claimed to be economic development, the disparity is getting bigger between one group to another. All right, and we talk about social development. We see that surrounding the development, the physical development, there are another group of people still living in poverty. So you will see the social equity issues there, right? And then ecologically, we claim we've got the tallest building, right? The most advanced technology, but look at the impact or the dead fish there, right? And culturally, we would see that the gap and the missing cultural values is getting worse and worse, right? And if you want to put into statistic, 2022, approximately 2.5 billion adults is overweight, yeah, and out of this 43%, 890 is obese. But what I want to highlight is this one, yeah. Yet in developing countries, nearly half of all deaths is because of malnutrition. So what are we talking about here? What kind of development are we talking about here? Right? Is it fair? And of course, if you see from Islamic perspective or whoever, even from humanitarian perspective, yeah, it's just not right. Right? It's just not logical that we have half a population, or even more than half, is living luxuriously, right? But more the other half is really living under poverty. So what are we talking about here, right? So this is what a real illustrations of unsustainable development. Okay, but this is nothing new. We've been aware of this, yeah. But how do we bring in this into mainstream perspective? Okay, and it's not just something that we talk in a conference. We hear from someone speaking about a minister or prime minister talking about it, and nothing happened on the ground. The same lifestyle. Right now is about making change on the ground and walk the talk, right, rather than talk the talk and so on. Okay, and this is another way how to further emphasize the importance of these issues of unsustainable development. Yeah, we know how the living conditions, how the scenarios in Africa, all right, not just to illustrate that it's Africa very poor, but it's the same conditions, yeah, in our areas as well, right? And at the same time, you will see the equity issues on the other side of the world. Yeah, so this is so clear, and day by day is getting clearer and clearer. All right, not just in terms of environment, but in terms of economics and social aspect as well. Okay, and this is another way of highlighting it. Yeah, I see how this inequity issues is there, and it's always been there. Yeah, but as again, what I'm trying to highlight here is that what are we doing as a person? All right, we hear this today, we hear this yesterday, we hear this a day before yesterday, we hear this 10, 15 years back, right? But things getting worse, and people keep on saying it, and there's no actions from at least on our side. So I am giving the perspective from university perspective, what universities are doing about this. Yeah, it's not enough just talking about it. Talking about it that's been done even 100,000 years before. Okay, all right. This is what sustainable development is, yeah, definition, some of the definition, but the most famous one, the usually quoted one, is development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Yeah, meaning fine, you can have your forecast today, provided, yeah, your children or your grandchildren will not be affected of enjoying the environment that we are having now. All right, they will not be affected by the climate change. You can have 100 car, if that possible, not affecting your future generations, our future generation, enjoying the same kind of environmental conservation or greeneries that you have. Right? And sustainable development is also about, it's also about good life. Yeah, some people see that sustainable development is just about environmental issues. No, it's totally wrong. Those are environmental development, quote unquote. Yeah, those are environmental awareness. Those are environmental educations. All right, there's the evolutions there. People are not talking about environmental educations anymore. Why? Because talking about environmental education alone will not be sufficient. You need to look at it holistically. I mean, whatever environmental issues has to be addressed with the addressing of issues of economics and social aspects as well. The third definition that's commonly used is to improve the quality of life while living within the carrying capacity of ecosystem. There, right, first environmental issues, but together with the environmental issues come implications on the lifestyle, as I was saying just now, right? And at the same time, you want to emphasize the importance of social aspect of it. Yeah, any development activity can be said if it is dynamic process. All right, so it's not belong to developed countries. It's not an issue of developing countries or least developing countries. It's togetherness, so that everyone can have the opportunity to be developed. Okay, all right. Another simplified way of putting up what is sustainable development in a shorter term is that living a good life, one, is systematic planning, because it's also systemic thinking, right? We cannot solve environmental issues just by environmental perspective alone. We know very well, right? So, but unfortunately, that's how universities is. Just to give an example, yeah, we have Department of Environment, we have Department of Social Science, and then the other thing, they're not talking to each other. That's why the problems out there in the real world, which is very transdisciplinary or interdisciplinary, is difficult to be solved. Why? Because the experts come from different disciplines. They are not used to be talking to each other, working with each other under a transdisciplinary thing. That's why systemic or systematic planning is something that is important component for sustainable development. It's a dynamic process. You cannot solve immediately. It requires processes, it requires stages. Yeah, it's definitely thinking about future generations. If you think about current generation, yeah, you can enjoy, can do this and that, but the impact of climate change today is not an outcome of 10, 15 years. It's like 50, 100 years back, right? The industrialization process, which we're proud of. But now, climate change is definite outcome of this industrialization process. Okay? The other one is living quality of carrying capacity. Yes, we know about this. Yeah, the eco footprint that you have. Everyone of single human being in the world have their own ecological footprint. All right? Count your ecological footprint by looking at how much you spend on money, how much you spend on food and etc. on traveling. Yeah. Okay. All right. So in short, to put a proper definitions or understanding what is sustainable development is that finding the yellow zone. What do I mean by the yellow zone is whereby the activities, the lifestyle is giving equal impact and considerations toward environmental situations, social and economic. All right. So the lighter blue is not good enough. Sustainable economic development will not be achieved unless you talk about social aspects as well. So in my class, I usually ask the students to just remember this this Venn diagram. So if people ask what is sustainable development, is finding a balance, meaning finding the yellow zone. Or in Arabic, sometimes in Islamic university, we use the word the mizan, between the three, right? So the one that is the one in the middle, the one that balance all the perspective. And just a quick introduction. So we know very well from 1 to 17, these are something that we hear daily now. Yeah, the goals number 1 until goals 17. Okay, all right. But real issues there is that then what need to be sustained or what need to be developed? How do we find a compromise between the two? And that's what balancing is all about. Right, we know very well that the earth need to be sustained, the diverse biodiversity need to be sustained, yeah, and the cultures, the group, the places need to be sustained. But that does not mean that we cannot develop. We need development. So the one on the right hand side is something that we are referring to what need to be developed. Definitely the wealth, the productive sector, the consumptions, yeah, but within limit, of course, yeah. So sometimes this is something that is cliche. Yeah, how do we find the balance? But that is something that need to be educated, need to be instilled, and requires everyone participations. All right, we should not be having a group of people who are sustainability scientists, because that will be creating another silos in that. Sustainability issues is about everyone is fully aware of the principles and the practice. All right. If you create again another group, another department, all right, another specific field that is just talking about them, not talking about talking to each other, that's not about addressing sustainable development. Okay. All right. So, given all these scenarios and perspective, let me try to be more practical and see how this happen, all this unsustainability happen, and how sustainable development can be brought in by or through the functions of universities or educational institutions in general. Yeah. The critics on universities' role has long been there. Yeah, 100 years. Yeah, I had an opportunity to talk to this ex-Harvard dean of IT or ICT, School of HTC, who wrote the book Excellence Without a Soul. Okay. Message from here is that the functions of university has gone haywire. All right, the commercializations, commodifications, yeah, capitalism has all made knowledge become commercial products, and because of that, the focus is not about building character. It's not about addressing the soul. They are just talking about the brain and the mind, forgetting the soul. That is why what he was not happy with when I met him is that he is saying that a simple term is that we can produce excellent graduate, 4 flat or 5 flat, 6 flat, yeah, whatever flat that you want to call. But when it comes to actual need on the ground, they can be flat, right? They can be falling flat on the ground because they are not able how to function. So in that sense, the largest sense of purpose of university is being questioned, right? And a good illustration is that we universities or educational institution is just like an assembly line. You come in the first day, you go through this and that, exam classes, tests, and etc. You come out as a product looking for employment, right? Your degree is the certificate, all right? That's the thing that you will be filtered out by the degree. If you get a good degree, then you'll be employed. They forget about the character, forget about the values and attitudes, yeah? Why? Because the process university itself is shaping a robot, not shaping a human being. Okay? So sustainable development is calling for shaping a human being rather than shaping a human capital. Right? There's a big difference there between human capital and human being. Right? Are we producing human capital or producing human being? Okay? All right. Quickly, this is a metaphor. All right. So, unfortunately, that's how the state of the universities. That's how the conditions of the universities now, right? But of course, we are seeing different evolutions now, a different emergence of different kind of universities now. Like, for example, at our university, it's not just about producing graduates who score 4 flat, yeah? And not about preparing them to be employed. It's more of making them a human being. Either they want to be employed by a business, industry, or even serving the community, it doesn't matter. But they are being a good human being, meaning that human first, engineer second, doctor second, social scientist second, or whatever. Yeah, human first. And how do we do that practically? Yeah, how do we make that change? Yeah, in terms of like being practical, because as I said in the beginnings that. Talking about sustainable development is not talking about knowledge. It's not talking about theory. It's not talking about concept. I guess the world have enough knowledge. The world have enough theories. What is missing, what is lacking is our action. Right? The same goes to when we hear some group of Sahabat companion that they would not go to listen to a new hadith until it put it into actions. They worry, they're scared to receive the new hadith or to hear the new wahyu revelation from God until they put into practice what they have heard before. That is just to illustrate strictly, right, all this knowledge is not knowledge until it's put into action. All right, it's just a piece of information. So here, what I'm trying to say is that you can do great research. Yeah, my friends in online. Yeah, you can do research, first class research that is published in Q1, published in Scopus, this and that. But what is the impact of that research on the ground? All right. Of course, I'm not saying that it's useless. Yeah, but how long does it take to give impact on the ground, or are we even working on research on things that is needed by the society? Because sometimes we are working on something that is not necessarily just for the name of in the pursuit of knowledge, right? Not on the pursuit of benefit of knowledge. So you will see these are the common reason why we do research, right? New knowledge and etc. But my point here is that ask ourselves, we want to publish, we want to have impactful journal, or we want to have an impactful research to the ground, right? Because we know very well now in the journal, those people on the ground or the society, the community may not even care what you write in a journal. Not only that, we have to pay to publish now, right? Even to read the article, the research that you're spending so much time on requires money. All right, so if you talk about sustainable development is talking about research that will fulfill the 4 A's that I will share later on. Yeah. Okay. All right. This is basically just to summarize that I was talking just now. Let's question the research that we're doing in our university. I mean, as educational institutions, the research that you're doing, how much is it giving impact on the ground? Or you are just considering the impact factor, and that's what is happening now. Yeah. All right. I think I skipped this one. Yeah. This is just to further illustrate that now the trend, I mean, the principles in sustainable development is about putting together the 4 perspective. Yeah. The academia, the industry, the government, and the community. I'm sure you all have heard about this triple helix. Triple helix has been the governance structure before, right? Only the academia, the industry, and government. The community is seen as beneficiary. The community is seen as the recipient. They are not part and parcel of the process of finding what needs to be researched. So that is why you will see that some research are, with cautions, useless to the community. Right? It can be great advancements of knowledge, quote unquote, there, but it can be questions if it's not benefiting to the society. So there come the term of translational research, the research that can be directly serving the benefits of to the society. Yeah, and this is the context of our ministry before. Yeah. Okay, this is what I was saying just now. Yeah, are we looking for impact or impact factor? So this is common now. Everyone is going. All universities, if not all universities, are looking for ranking in the time educations or even in QS, right? But this ranking, does it do any good to the society? Not necessarily. Unfortunately, that's what they're going for, right? So when we talk about sustainable development, the principle and the practice is about mainstreaming the kind of research that will benefit the community, not just to publish in the first quartile journal. Okay, all right. All right, I'll skip that one. Yeah. So I just want to give an example that we have one great scholar, even now a vice chancellor, before director general. She has produced what is called rapid diagnosis test. Yeah. This is what is the different? What is the unique thing about this is that some disease, would require a lot in order to be instituted or to be used in certain areas. But she make it very simple as a kit style. It's just one box that you can carry over, right? So what she's trying, for example, the tuberculosis, for example, yeah. So what is the function of this one is that she is thinking about those society who are not having access to all the advanced technology and etc. How do we bring this kid. Yeah. So I was saying just now, in short, what it requires in terms of to mainstream research for sustainable development is that the research has to be appropriate to our culture or our community, has to be made affordable. It's not something that is just for elite group of people. Has to be made accessible. What's the point of research if you spend 5 years, 6 years, and then only few people accessible to it? And it has finally need to be made available, right? Okay, all right. So, and we know that this has been talked about. The word of the Prahalat, for example, yeah, the fortune at the bottom of the pyramid. The world is divided into top 1%, top 50, top 40, and the bottom below. So the bottom billions refers to what, maybe 4-5 billions that's still living under poverty. But unfortunately, most or majority of the research is talking or is referring, engineering and etc. is referring to those group of 0.5 billion people only. All right. For example, now we're talking about a very luxury car. We talk about a luxury kitchen. We talk about luxury house. Not talking about affordable car or green car. We do talk, yeah. We do. We have this electric vehicle and etc. But how many people or percentage of the population can afford that electrical car or that green car? So we have this laptop that is sold in Africa, for example, yeah. Is a laptop that is very affordable, that is very cheap, affordable to the community there. But here we're talking about a more advanced one. So the choice between making it affordable or making it advanced as possible, what is the choice? So if we talk about sustainable development, it's talking about the one that is affordable. It doesn't have to be very advanced, because there are still people who are still living in second industrial revolution or third industrial revolution. But everyone is talking about technology that is for industrial revolution. I want to put a question there that how many percentage of people are living in the scenarios of fourth industrial revolutions? In Malaysia, for example, still half of the population is not having access to internet. But the assumptions of fourth IR is that everyone have access to internet. So there is a fundamental error there that will make sustainable development become very challenging. Okay, and from Islamic perspective, for the Muslim, for example, among the few Muslim scientists who received this Nobel laureate, he was saying that if we work on research topic that the West is not interested in, we'll always be 20 years ahead. But unfortunately, if we work on topic that the West is interested in, we'll always be 20 years behind. Meaning that you will always be in the last wagon of the train. We want to be in the train, right? Like the others, talking about biotech, talking about AI, but we always be the one standing in the last train. Why? We do have the endowment fund. We don't set the direction. Our science technology is still following them. So Zahmat Zuwal is saying that we've got to find our own way or our own interest or priority. So sustainable development is about finding these local needs. It's not about following the trend that is being discussed in the main CNN or whatever. So here what we're trying to emphasize is that not just about specialization, not just about being experts as deep as possible in our field, but that field that we are experts in, how does it contribute back to the society? Okay, and this is what we say a T personality. Means that if you look at the word T personality, you have got the depth of knowledge is fine. You want to go as depth as possible, go on, but as much as knowledge and contributions to the society is concerned, the breadth of knowledge has to be connected to the depth of the knowledge. Okay, all right. So I hope that you get the ideas is that we are being trained or narrowed down to be highly specialized. At the end of the day, if people take out the microscope, for example, you cannot see what's happening there, right? Because you are being so limited under the perspective of that one disciplinary perspective. So the last component, the other issues that I would like to highlight is that how we need now to somehow see that if we take three main functions of universities, there is the research, teaching and learning, and community engagement. So all this while, my friends, that the community engagement, community service is seen as a secondary thing. But that's not the way they are now, or that's not the way it should be now, right? The pandemic, for example, have shown to us that when we are facing this COVID, yeah, who save us? Who, I mean, where do we stay in? Is with the community, right? The industry, which may have been seen as the one that drive us before, have to put into stop. It's not functioning. They close down. The one that is still in moving is the community. But somehow, before this, the community is not our primary input, right? It's not the primary directions, right? The community is seen as the recipient. But now, things have to be totally changed. You've got to work with the community, not just for the community. So that's what it means. So for that, ultimately, the teaching and learning process has to be changed. We've got to change from mode one, that is just about academic perspective, right? It has to be changed into knowledge that requires or that bring in perspective of social need, etc. So it's academic and social. And the trend or the style, the conventional way of monodiscipline, single disciplinary, has to be changed, has to be reoriented, even has to be thrown out. Right? Now is the era whereby the convergence of knowledge is a trend. Is either interdisciplinary or transdisciplinary. So the list goes on, yeah. And this is what required when we talk about education for sustainable development. So unless and until you don't change the way you teach, and you don't change the way student learning, right, is in a way whereby we as a teacher, I mean me for example, is just doing the talking, right, and there's no discussion, there's no interaction, we are not learning there. Right? Because for sustainable development, in this era, knowledge is co-creations, co-generations of knowledge. Right? If they are not developed together, it's going to be just one-sided. Yeah. And this is another way of putting it together. Yeah. So the learning has to be shifted from transmissive learning, that's what I'm doing now, to transformative learning, individual learning to collaborative learning. That is why, as much as possible, I was hoping that there is interactions after this, but I'm not sure about that. Yeah, but in my class, I try to, I mean, the university, I try to make the class very interactive. Yeah, because I think now, if you're talking about knowledge, you're talking about information, they can just ask ChatGPT. They don't need us to be there. So our function, functions of a lecturer or a teacher is not just transmit whatever knowledge that they think is the most important knowledge, right? The student can get it at fingertips, yeah? All right, so I skip this one. So what we do in our university is that these all are put together, right? In International Islamic University, the context of Maqasid Sharia is put together with sustainable development. And how do we do that? We transform the learning process, right? And we even have our own local word, yeah? That is sejahtera. So maybe sejahtera is a local word for sustainability or sustainable development, because one of the major principles of sustainable development or sustainability, how to make sure there is sustainability, is that you have to practice what you've been practicing before, which is a good practice, right? Look at our grandfather before, or generations before us, like that's how they live sustainably. Yeah, that's how they use indigenous knowledge. That's how the greeneries are intact. But with industrialization, modernization, those all gone. So we need to go back to the concept of traditional knowledge, indigenous knowledge, because that's what have been sustaining our life economically, yeah, socially, environmentally, yeah. So this is just to quickly illustrate that we have been living. We've been putting up the humanizing education through Maqasid Sharia and sustainable development. That means that the call for Islamic teaching, Islamic practice, definitely is all there. Yeah, it's been there all the while. But the more importance of the Islamic teachings, calling back this Maqasid Sharia, put it into real actions and dynamics and sophisticatedness of the current knowledge, yeah, has to be there. Right? We cannot just put it there just as reference or just as citations. the maqasid, the objective of human existence and human being has to be put into practice together with the current language of sustainable development. And it's not impossible. This is how we do it in our universities. Yeah. So the department now being made to understand how do you put together the maqasid Sharia and sustainable development. Okay. All right. So I just want to end with this. Yeah. At least when I talk about behavioral change, maybe you have seen this before, but the message of how, even in terms of doing ablution for the Muslim, yeah, if there is a non-Muslim here, ablution is the thing that we do before we do our prayer, where you clean hands, face, and etc. So let's watch this quick video. Hopefully, if other thing doesn't remember that much, at least this video trigger us to think. Yeah, and I hope you can hear it.
That's all the news. Hello.
Over 800
Oh, sorry. It's a wrong one. Sorry. I miss it. Okay, this one. Yeah, sorry.
Prof, the video with the sound or not? Now we can.
It is. Oh, sorry. Anyhow, tak apa, it's fine. All right, okay. I thought it's on as you expected. Anyhow, the message from here, but you can see the picture, right? Jariam?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
okay,
sure.
Fine.
The video is moving.
Yeah, it should be, but it's okay. I don't have much time. But what I want to say here is that, please think, yeah, if we talk about sustainable development, one of the aspects of course water. But if we cannot even make change or do little savings or little change in our behavior of taking ablutions, whereby usually back in Malaysia is that the practice is that we are quite luxury in water, that we put the tap in a very high volume and use as much as possible. So if we talk about sustainable development, if we talk about what Islam has been teaching, is that we know very well how much the Prophet ﷺ used water in order to do that wudu. But reflect upon yourself, if that part we still cannot do our own change of behavior and savings there, don't talk about changing the world. Right? And even in another word, even doing ibadah, we are not able to somehow try to optimize or try to do what this teaching is. Don't talk about changing the world. right? Don't talk about telling maybe the developed countries to change theirs if we ourselves cannot change our behavior. All right. So I would slowly wind down. Right. In Islam, it's been perfect. Yeah. If you talk about sustainable development, if you recall the Venn diagram just now, it's the same like this. We have all the mechanisms. Yeah. The approach in terms of economics, we've got the zakat and sadaqah as way to ensure sustainable economic sustainability. In the social aspect, we have the concept of khalifa, mushawara, ukhwa. So all these things, there's no need to explain on that one. And environmental, of course, we are the khalifatul ard, yeah, and the concept of bizan. So it is there. It's just a matter of putting it into practice. And this is how we are beyond sustainable development as advocated by maybe by United Nations or developed countries, right? Islam has been talking about that, and even Prophet Muhammad is the most sustainable person. Yeah? And we know very well that if you are at war, you are not even allowed to cut trees. So there's just simple illustrations of how sustainable development, sustainable practice has always been there. Okay, all right. And this hadith is the most hadith that somehow can be put into the context of sustainable development or sustainability. Yeah, when we die, we leave three things behind. Yeah, the sadaqah jariyah, which is sustainable consumptions, knowledge, sustainable development, and sustainable futures. If we have a good son that will be praying for us, right? So with that, I would end my presentation there. Hopefully what I've shared is that what is the actual scenarios that is happening now that leave us with no options except to go for sustainable development in a more concrete, structured and serious way. All right. Two, talking about sustainable development is not about talking, it's about actions. All right, and I give one little action that hopefully we can do it together, inshallah, the ablution, the wudu, right? At least one small thing that we can take away from these 45 minutes. And we know very well, if you are in the university sessions, it's all about making sure that universities is doing our job and we are being honest and truthful to the knowledge that we receive. So with that, I would end by saying that inshallah, after listening to this, we can we learned something so that we can somehow put all this knowledge or thing that we heard into action, inshallah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Prof, for your wonderful sharing today, and hopefully all the participants can benefit it. And now we have the Q&A session. Let me check in the chat box, Prof. There is a question from the chat box or not?
There's a comment, but there's no questions. Can we say that there is no such thing as sustainability because we all know that resources are limited, population is increasing? Okay, yeah, I think the correct extending the good while developing. Okay, agree. Yeah. But there's no climate change. This is capitalist. Okay, all right, all right. Okay, just a little comment. Yeah? My perspective is that there's no such thing as sustainability. If we see it in a way that God is the only thing that is sustainable in that manner, right? Others are not sustainable. Yes, correct. Yeah, that's why we say that what we're trying to do is to somehow making sure that at least we mitigate what is happening, right? So there's no thing that is sustainable, true, yeah. But how do we mitigate that? Because we know that we need to develop, we need rice on the table, but at the same time we need to take care of what the trees that we cut in order to plant the rice. All right. So in that manner, what do I mean, or what do people sustainable development mean, is that you can have rice on the table by planting trees. You can plant as a paddy, but when you want to have that paddy field, you have to cut trees, but you cut trees there, but you plant somewhere else. That is what is referred to as sustainable. Meaning that you can develop, but make sure that it's not at the price of environmental degradations. So I would not totally agree there's no such thing as sustainability, but in a way, if you see it from that perspective, nothing is sustainable, of course. Yeah, because this is all fana, or everything is all fana, yeah, except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I guess that will be my response to that. Yeah. Okay, Dr. Tijani, interesting thing, yeah? Does that mean you are trying to address the skill, not just the degree issues? Okay. Here, what happens that, no, we are not trying to kill degree, not to make degree obsolete, but the degree has taken so much of our focus and attentions that we can get full-fledged students who graduate with some lot, first degree, but they are also the one who not getting a jobs out there because companies are looking for skills. You can have Harvard graduate who are very excellent, but they're still the one who do the corruptions, and there are so many cases of that, right? Financially. So when we talk about degree, right? What is that purpose of that degree? To get a job or to make you a good character? And with what is happening now, like for example, artificial intelligence, all the thing that you can teach can be now acquired through AI. So how do we need? How are we not going to question the purpose of degree now? And we know very well that there's so many discussions, so many debates about like those good people, they were the non-degree holder, the dropout. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not about killing degree, but the purpose and holisticness of that degree. We need that knowledge, the cognitive knowledge. But if you look at the KAVS, knowledge, attitude, values, and skills, right? Knowledge to be given by the degree is so much being the focus that we forget about the attitude, the values, and skills. Why? Because the industry, the business people are saying that, oh, I need a degree. But at the end of the day now, right, the degree would call you to interview room, but once you are inside the interview room, they won't ask you about the degree. They ask your contributions, how you articulate your leadership skill, which not necessarily you get that from the degree. So that's what I'm trying to say. Not about negating the importance of degree, but the degree has been functioning in a different way, in a wrong way. Hopefully that satisfies. That's my response to Dr. Tajiki. Any other question? Okay, how to operationalize this? This is what this why I purposely show a bit of what we've been doing in the International Islamic University. It is practical. It is something that is operatable. So our students now have to undergo the community engagement, for example, every one of them. Why? Because we think that they need to learn how to deal with the society, the real issues out there, not just to sit in the classroom and learn about the theories and concepts. So that's how we put it into practical. So if you want to have more discussion, I'm more happy to do that, Sulaiman. Any other question, Jaria? It's exceeded the time already.
Yeah, I think that's all.
Thank you so much. So I put my email there in case anyone would like to have a follow-up questions.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you.